My friends, I give you the modern state of America. Now, it perhaps is unfair to take a single video of a young woman complaining about having to have a job and then insult all of Gen Z. But I do think it's fair to say that there is a high density of young people who don't like working. And I got to be honest, I don't know what their life is all about, but I do think I can explain why this is happening. In this video that's going viral, a young woman is crying because she has to commute to work. She says she's on the train by like 7. She's home by 6:15. She's too tired. She just eats and then goes to bed. And it's like, welcome to what life is and always has been. In fact, life was substantially worse 100, 200 years ago. But sure. How is it? We have a generation so coddled, they don't do work. Well, I think I can explain it for you. But first, let me play for you the video and you can hear what everyone's been talking about.
But this is my first. I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, but this is my first job, like my first 9 to 5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me fucking forever to get there. There's no way I'm gonna be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, fucking duh! If I was able to walk to work, and it'd be fine, but I'm not. So it literally takes me, like, I leave here, like, I get on the train at 7:30, and I don't get home till, like, 6:15 earliest, and then, like, I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like, I'm so upset. Oh my God. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just, like, the 9 to 5 schedule in general is crazy. Being in the office 9 to 5, like, if it was remote, you get off at 5 and you're home and everything's fine. But, like, I'm not home. It takes me long to get home, and, like, people that drive to the office, like, you don't get off at 5, and I know it could be worse. I know I could be working longer, but, like, I literally get off, it's pitch black, like, I don't have energy. How do you have friends? Like, how do you have time to, like, meet, like, a guy? I don't know. Like, how do you have time for, like, dating? Like, I don't have time for anything, and I'm, like, so stressed out, and I'm also getting my period, so that's why I'm all emotional, but, like, am I so dramatic? It's fine.
Yeah, you are so dramatic. This is
like my
sad.
first night.
This is sad. How is it that we have this? Well, first, let's be reasonable. We didn't used to have social media, so a lot of young people who entered the workforce and probably felt the stress of the commute they'd not experienced before, they probably felt the same way, but just didn't embarrass themselves by making videos about it where they're crying, resulting in a bunch of people being like, "Are you serious?" But unfortunately, I think our country has a deep sickness with how we create and train new human beings. So here's what I think. What does she want to do? She says, I go to work and then I don't have time to do anything. Whoa, what is that anything? Hang out with friends. What does that mean? Well, perhaps the issue is that women are more inclined to want to be social and hang out with other women, whereas men are more goal-oriented and want to solve a problem or take on a task. Maybe not. I don't have the same perspective as her. But what I think is that when we're young, we begin to imitate those around us. We develop routines and patterns of behavior. As we get older, we want to retain these patterns of behavior. It feels good to keep doing these things. Why? Evolutionary psychology and biology. I was reading once in this book about how when around the age of 24, your brain solidifies, your perspective hardens. Around 45 or 50 is when your brain reopens up to the possibilities. And this is why people have a midlife crisis. What this means is your worldview around your mid-20s will be your worldview. And the reason that people have mental breakdowns and panic attacks, not the only reason, but one of the big reasons, is that someone's worldview is shattered by undeniable evidence. And this causes panic. Your whole life, you lived a specific way and you survived, which means your brain has developed, this is how we live and this is how we survive, evolutionary psychology and biology. If at 24 you discover an undeniable truth which shatters your worldview, it puts you at risk. Everything you had been doing led to your success and survival to this point, but now you were wrong. And that's why Brandon Strzok, excuse me, talks about how when he watched that video of Trump that proved the media had lied, he felt physical pain because everything he believed was shattered in an instant. He had been lied to his whole life. So for this young woman, what was she doing when she was 10 to 13? She was hanging out with her friends and doing nothing else. And for this, that's all she wants to do. And now she's being told you can't do that. You have to do something else. And it is shattering the mind. But this is what I'm supposed to do. I asked a friend once. She told me, I don't know what I want to do in college or what career I'm going to have. And I said, what were you doing when you were 13? And she's like, hanging out with my friends. And I was like, you want to open a bar? And she goes, oh, that would be so awesome. You see? You spent your days hanging out with your friends, socializing. You want to work in a social establishment. You want to keep doing what you were doing when you were becoming an adult, when you're becoming a human. I'm not saying when you were. As a child, you're growing up and developing these things. And as you get older, you build patterns of behavior. So this young woman is shocked now, and she's having this breakdown because the world is saying everything you were trained to do, everything you are from the point of birth until now is wrong, and you must do something different. And that shocks the system. I don't blame her for it. I blame this country. Now, what was I doing when I was a kid? My family owned a family business. Started working for the family business. I was like 9 or 10, worked till I was 11 or 12. And then this probably, very entrepreneurial family. This probably set me on a path where, for one, I'm exposed to adults all day. So I'm not hearing kids bicker about things. I'm hearing adults bicker about things, and adults are bickering about things like politics. It puts me on a path towards, what do you do with your life? You work. I worked weekends. Show up to work. Here's what you got to do. You got to do it. And so I'm a kid. And my life is work. I'm on the internet. I'm reading news. I'm like 13 years old and I'm reading about politics. I'm reading about what's going on in the world, half confused by it, shrugging, I don't know. But I'm seeing these things on the front page of AOL when I log in. There you go. I start working on video games and apps and Flash. Basically, my life was I'm doing things and engaging in projects. Most people are not doing that. They're just hanging out with their friends. Well, when you're older, just hanging out with your friends doesn't help you survive. So we are training our young people to do nothing. Then when they're older, they're like, how come nothing isn't working anymore? That's right. Let me tell you, young woman, about my day. And I don't blame her. But let me tell you about my day. So I wake up around 7:30. 7:30 is when I first wake up. And then I kind of just lay there until about 7:50, scrolling through my phone, reading things that have happened throughout the night, looking at news stories and things like that. And then around 7:50, I'm morning routine stuff, putting my contacts, taking a shower, getting ready. Have morning coffee and discuss life and business with my girlfriend. What are our plans? What are the projects? What do we have to do? And then maybe by 8:15 or whatever, I am heading to the studio, where I begin then compiling all the news that I had read earlier in the day. And so until about, I've been trying to create a schedule that gets me through the day faster. But on some days I'll get done around 1 so that I can go exercise for about 2 hours. But some days I'll work until 2 or 3. It just really depends. Then I will eat food. Then I will relax for about an hour or two. And then I will begin preparation for Timcast IRL. So I don't have the commute you do. I have a small commute, minimal, and the day is typically like 8 to 11 p.m. In between the day, from about 3 until 6 p.m., I got a few hours to myself to sit on the couch, play some video games, still reading Twitter and plugged in. And then on the weekends, I typically take the days off for the most part, but still read the news several hours throughout the day because I'm on Twitter. So for you, ma'am, you wake up, you're on the train by 7, you're home by 6:15, you're working less than I am. I don't know what else to tell you. You work less than I do, but arguably, I go to bed about 1 a.m. So if she's back by 6:15, she has from 6 until 9 to go out for drinks, hang out with friends, get some exercise, then come home and watch movies until 1 a.m. or whatever. Perhaps it's just me and I'm crazy and I don't need that much sleep. Let's say you go to bed at 11. She still has from 6:15 to get ready, be out by 7 for 2 hours, and then be back by 9. And that's crazy. 9's still kind of early. Back by 10, and then be in bed by 11 and sleep for 8 hours. I don't get it. Your schedule seems to be just fine. The issue is most people have been trained at a young age to do nothing. And so when they have to do something, it is shocking and difficult. And that's the challenge. If we do not correct this, our young people are going to fail. And you know what? It may be too late. Too many young people are like, I can't live this way. Now, perhaps there's another component here. Perhaps the issue is that she's a woman. Yep. And it is possible. I think it is probable. Many women, not all, want to be social and not object-oriented like men. And so this young woman is being told to do masculine behaviors, which is goal-oriented, and she doesn't like it when she wants to engage in social behaviors. If you go way back, women would go gathering together and not too far from the camp. I mean, thousands of years back. And the men would go off and hunt. Men might die, maybe not. And so what we're seeing now is, what do women like doing? They like shopping. They like hanging out. Why? Well, shopping is like gathering. It is. That's why. That's one of the reasons I was reading this study about why women like shopping, why it's a trope. Because going around and collecting things to bring them back is an important task humans had to do. And while the men would hunt, the women would gather. Both were equally important, providing sustenance to the people. But women were socializing while they did it, talking with each other, laughing, and being around each other. Imagine if women were told, your job from 9 to 5 is going to be to go shopping with your friends. They'd be like, that's work. But this used to be important work. It used to be vital work. That the men might come home with a deer or whatever, but what about vegetables, fruits? What about other things? And who's watching the family and the kids? That's what women were doing. Now we treat that as a luxury to go shopping and buying stuff. It's a joke. Oh, women and the credit card. When it's supposed to be an ingrained behavior that helped us survive. I bet you tell this woman, we want you to go shopping with your friends to find important things the house needs and the family needs. And that's a valuable thing to be done. We don't do that anymore. Being a housewife, a homemaker, the women would go out, they'd hang out with their friends, they'd go shopping, they'd clean the house and make sure everything was ready to go, and their husband would come home. And I don't understand the dishonor in any of that. So now we're telling women to go be CEOs, go be girl bosses. And they're unhappy. Not all of them. I'm just saying these women in particular are unhappy. I'm not surprised by it. Ultimately, I think what we need to do is teach hard work to everyone. Because you know that there are women who work on farms and can handle hard work. There are women who grew up doing hard work, living hard work, and can handle working on a farm sun up to sundown. That's why I think the big issue for many women like this is that they grew up doing nothing. Everything was taken care of for them, air conditioning, refrigeration. They played with their friends. They went to school, and it was all social nonsense. And now they have to work. And now they're like, I can't. Oh, my heart is being ripped from my chest. Yeah. Human beings designed and built and trained not for survival, but for nothing. That's brutal, man. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.